These stunts you're about to see are dangerous. They were done by trained professionals in secure environments. Don't attempt any of these stunts, any place, anywhere, or at any time. Welcome to Iron Extreme, the show that gives you a look into extreme lifestyles. Hang on to your seats and prepare to go for the ride of a lifetime. Iron Extreme is an exciting new show full of action-packed, edge-of-your-seat excitement from start to finish. And it's hosted by Jim Duffner. Iron Extreme is a show that has people spinning their wheels and doing backflips to watch. Welcome to Iron Extreme. My name's Jim Duffner and I'm going to be your host for the next 30 minutes. Iron Extreme is an exciting new show that takes you behind the scenes, up close and personal, into the lifestyles of the extreme. Today we've got an exciting show for you. We're going to hook up a 7-time Grand National Champion, Chris Carr. But first we're going to show you some of the action that we have coming up on future shows. So hang on to your seats and prepare to go for the ride of a lifetime with Iron Extreme, the show that keeps its eye on the extreme. Dirt track racing, also called Class C or flat track racing, is the oldest form of motorcycle racing there is. It's an all-American sport. Its roots date back to the early 1900s with board racing. Dirt track racing is the fastest growing, most exciting, and yet most dangerous form of motorcycle racing in the world today. Dirt track is made up of 4 different types of racing. 3 oval races, the mile, the half mile, the short track, which is anything under the half mile, and TT racing, which consists of left and right hand turns and a jump. On the mile ovals, riders hit speeds of up to 140 miles per hour, riding within inches of each other, literally putting their lives in the hands of their fellow riders. Some riders spend their whole career without ever winning one Grand National Championship race. In the almost 100-year history of dirt track racing, there have only been 2 men who have ever won 7 Grand National Championships. Scott Parker and the Prince of Peoria himself, Chris Carr. Chris Carr is highly respected by the fans and his fellow riders. He's an ambassador for the sport and a real true champion.
Hi, my name is Chris Carr. I'm an AMA Grand National Dirt Track Champion, and I ride for the Quality Check Certified Pre-Owned Ford Racing Team.
From the day Chris Carr arrived on the scene, he has been a dominant force to be reckoned with. His accomplishments speak for themselves. Besides Chris's 7 Grand National Championships, he has won 1 Formula USA Championship. Chris Carr is the only active rider to win a dirt track Grand Slam in 1 year. To do so, he had to win a mile race, a half-mile race, a short track race, and a TT race all in 1 year. He accomplished it in 1992. Chris Carr is second on the all-time Grand National win list. Chris Carr got his nickname the Prince of Peoria due to his 13 Peoria TT victories, including going an impressive 12 for 12.
It's second nature for me to live on the edge, racing at 100 miles an hour.
Long before Chris Carr was the Prince of Peoria, he was the King of Lodi. Through the magic of film, we're going to reverse the hands of time and take you back to the date of May 6th, 1967, when Christopher Allen Carr was born in Stockton, California, to Jerry and Ann Carr. Chris grew up around the small town of Lodi, which is in the wine country up in Northern California, where his dad still has his TV and VCR repair shop.
Well, welcome to my shop, my humble abode, as they say. Kids' pictures are on the wall.
I started racing in 1973. My dad was an amateur racer in the late 60s and early 70s, and pretty much grew up at the racetrack, so it was rather inevitable that I'd end up racing too.
I raced about 7 or 8 years, I guess.
I've pretty much been at a racetrack my whole life. I used to joke years ago, but I don't say it much anymore, is that I may have been conceived at a hill climb.
We made him wait until he was 6 years old before he could race. He got a Christmas before his 6th birthday. He turned 6 in May. We got him a little Motovilla 38cc motorcycle.
I got the itch at a real young age, and I've been fortunate enough that they were understanding enough to allow me to go race, so it was cool.
Early in his racing career, Chris was on a little Pee-wee motorcycle, and we went to the races. And there were only a few kids in the race, and Chris was going around, and he was in probably 2nd place, but I don't think he knew, but they were going to give trophies to everybody that finished the race. And so as he went around, he fell down, and he got hurt a little bit and a little bit mad, and didn't get back up and complete the race. So after the race was over, I went over and picked him up and told him that if he had just gotten back up and finished what he'd started to do, he would have gotten his reward. He would have gotten a trophy. And it really brought him up to the realization that you can't quit. You've got to keep going. That was the last time he pulled that little trick. He's had a lot of races since then, and give up is not part of his vocabulary anymore. He continued to race. By the time he was about 8 or 9, he was faster than I was. Even given a higher displacement motorcycle, I decided to become a mechanic instead of a racer.
Chris likes to say that he grew up playing in the dirt at the Lodi Cycle Bowl, and that he hasn't stopped playing in the dirt since. Championships are nothing new to Chris. He's won 10 amateur dirt track titles.
Cool thing about going to Manteca High School is that my mom taught there, and she taught there from throughout my high school time and well before that.
You ever have your mom as a teacher?
Yeah, actually I did. For 3 quarters one year. I'm trying to remember what year it was, but I think it was my junior year or something like that. It was kind of strange. I had to call her Mrs. Carr, and that was weird because I always called her Mom, but I got B's in her class.
B's, not A's.
No, there was no favoritism. Actually, if I got an A in a class, everybody would have said it would have been rigged. So I worked hard enough to get a B.
Didn't you play basketball there too?
Yeah, I played center. Yeah, all five of me. I played a couple years, freshman and sophomore year, and I had some fun with that. And I mean, I've always enjoyed basketball. I just never was very good at it.
He was at a basketball camp the summer he was a sophomore, and was so aggressive that he was voted the best defensive player in the basketball camp out of about 100 basketball students.
After graduation, it was time to rock and roll, and that's just what Chris did. Winning race after race and championship after championship. He has never looked back.
See him going down the track like he's never coming back. His tires are squealing, he's leaving you behind him. High speed is an art, it takes a man with a knack. He's a high-speed maniac, he's a driving wheel. You can't keep him from riding. Let it roll, keep that wheel on the ground. Let it roll, break the speed of the sound. Let it roll, go as fast as you can. He's got that fever in his blood, he's a high-speed man. There he goes, he's out of sight. Twists his grip of dynamite. The brakes are there, no time to use them.
Dirt track racing can be a dangerous sport.
We're silly if we've never thought about what could happen. I mean, racing's dangerous, period. You know, actually, from professional competition, I haven't ever had a major injury at all, not even a broken bone. I don't try to take any unnecessary risks. I have respect for my fellow racers. You know, I try to take care out there because in the end, you know, we want to do it again. I try to be more aware on the racetrack of things going on around me. A lot of times peripheral vision has saved my hide, so just got to keep practicing that way.
I think Chris Carr is one of the best motorcycle racers in the world. I think Chris Carr is a real smart guy, and I think he's really good for the sport.
Chris is one of the best champions our sport's ever had.
Chris Carr, you know, he's the ultimate racer. He's a professional off the track. He's dominant on the track. You know, he's smooth. He's the total package, and he's a great guy. So I want to kind of try to model myself after him because he's just been a great racer, and I think he's great to the fans and he's all around good guy.
Chris Carr has helped me out since I was a young man. Probably the most valuable thing that he has that I see is his ability to help others and his want to help people and get them involved, get them up to where he is. He's always kind of looked over me and made sure I was doing things right since I was 8 or 9 years old, racing up at the Lodi Cycle Bowl out in California. And that's one thing that makes him a really good champion is he's willing to help people, and he's a real true professional.
Before I was a pro, when I was an amateur, I knew Chris, and Chris did a lot to help me out growing up. You know, he always kind of took me under his wing. They teased me a lot. I was the young guy at the house. I used to stay at Chris's house, and they used to beat on me and stuff. But coming up through, Chris helped me out a lot. He's always been a guy that, you know, no matter what, you know, that he did the honorable thing, you know. And I don't ever remember him doing something on the track where I had to go over and even speak to him afterwards because, classy racer.
Chris has been a great champion. You know, I think he takes and every year he's getting better and better about his whole package. You know, he's a great champion, a great speaker for the sport. He's a great individual, and every year he gets better and better. And he didn't have far to go from the beginning.
He's tough. He's going to be real tough. Chris is a real consistent competitor.
I think he's a good national champion. He deserves it, obviously. You know, he's the best rider we got. You know, no bones about it. So he's a good representative for the sport, and he's a good racer. He deserves everything he gets.
Chris Carr's definitely a champ. I met him for the first time in 1990 at a short track in Sapulpa, Oklahoma.
and he signed a T-shirt and a hat and gave me a hat and everything. And he's probably been my biggest hero ever since I was a little kid. And it's really cool when you make a man, you get to line up right next to Chris Carr. I mean, that's you know you're doing something good when you're next to the champ.
Is it the golf game that gives you the patience with the racing?
I think it's helped, to be honest with you. You know, people don't realize it. You know, when I play golf, it's a lot like when I race motorcycles. It's, you know, it's you and your equipment. You know, you're sitting there with a club in your hand, and how you use the club is what determines your score. And it's no different than me on a motorcycle. You know, it's real similar. I mean, yet it's real opposite too. I mean, golf's usually a lot quieter than motorcycle racing, and not nearly as exciting. But it's real similar as far as getting the best out of yourself and your equipment. I'll tell you what, my wife Pam is amazing. That lady gets more done in one day than any person I've ever met in my life. But she just goes and goes and goes. I mean, she reminds me of the Energizer Bunny, to be very honest with you. On top of being a great wife and a great mother, putting up with a husband that's got a really strange job, she's Superwoman in my eyes. I mean, she just flat amazes me every day.
How many kids do you have?
2 boys, and they're a handful, but they're a lot of fun too. So we look forward to going to the races with them, just like I did when I was growing up.
How do they like the races?
Well, it's hard to say. You know, some days they like watching them, and other days they like sitting in the trailer and coloring or watching movies or whatever. You know, they're kids. One day they're into it, the next day they could care less.
Scott Jacobs had a party to unveil his new painting of Chris, Scott Parker, and Jay Springsteen. The painting was unbelievable, and the party was a huge success.
See, I did have you.
I'm saying, you know, you're still saying that.
There's the line.
Here's the money.
The car is now called Fleetwood, Pennsylvania home. If there was an award given out for being one of the best dads, Chris would be up for it. Chris may be number one to his competitors and fans, but his family's number one to him. Tell me about your new sponsorship.
Wow, you know, Ford Motor Company, quality check, certified pre-owned. It's a lot to say, but I'm glad to have them along with us. You know, our sport's been needing a big name Fortune 500 company to be involved in our sport, and I'm fortunate enough that they want to be a part of our team.
Chris has a lot of support from family, sponsors, and friends. But come race day, nobody works harder at his job than Chris's man behind the scenes. The unsung hero that makes it all possible, Kenny Tolbert. Chris says he could not have done it without him.
If you look at his track record over the years that he and I have worked together, and you could count on one hand how many races we didn't finish because of a mechanical failure. And I think it's maybe 2 in the 300 starts that we've had together. You know, it's impressive on his part. Since 1988, he and I worked together, except for 96 and 7. And it's been a great friendship more than it has been a working relationship. I've got a lot of respect for him as a mechanic, but I just soon call him my friend too.
It's the best job I've ever had in my life. It's been 16 years of pleasure, you know, the enjoyment, and watching him ride a motorcycle is it's just the greatest thing for me. We do a lot of work on the bikes and stuff. We spend a lot of time on the bikes to try to make them as best we can for him, because when he rides them, he gives us his all and makes the best and stuff. So it's a good deal, and I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Chris Carr may be nicknamed the Prince of Peoria due to all his victories at the Peoria TT, but he's a king of dirt track. With 7 600cc titles, 1 Formula USA title, he's a 7-time Grand National Champion, and he has over 70 GNC victories to his name. Don't look for Chris Carr to be dethroned anytime soon.
As long as that, I can keep beating them week in, week out, winning championships, I'm going to still be doing this. I'd like to think I'm capable of at least another 3, maybe more. Who knows? A lot's going to depend on how the young riders develop and how long I can maintain the level that I'm at. When I'm done with the sport, I don't want to be done. I'd like to run a dirt track team. I'd like to be involved in the sport. There's a lot of things that I feel like I can contribute to flat track racing off the racetrack, whether it be a team owner or a color commentator for the TV stuff or whatever. I think there's a lot of things that I'm capable of helping our sport with. And when I'm done racing, I still want to help make it better than when I got here.
I want to be remembered as a guy that went out racing and did it the fair way. I want to be realized that I work hard for where I've gotten, and it wasn't just handed to me on a silver platter. I worked very hard at being a good dirt track racer.
I want to be remembered as a good champion, and I'm doing my best to fulfill that.
So until next time, remember, Iron Extreme is the show that keeps its eye on the extreme.